People think that there's some kind of a machlokes out there where therapists or experts or rabbanim advise parents to throw their kid out of the house. And that I say that no matter what, you don't throw the kid out and you should continue to live in an intolerable, painful, traumatic situation. And it's not true. You see, once the parents listen to advice that doesn't work, it's like the kid had a fever, that was 100, it goes to 101, goes to 102, gets worse and worse. And now they went head to head and fighting with this kid, trying to control him and make him do stuff that didn't work. And after 6 months or a year or two, the situation is horrible. The kid is lahaches, lahashmid, lahareg, laabed, skol ha-family. He's impossible. He's mamish lahaches. You ask him 1,000,000 times, don't walk around the house without clothing. Stop cursing like a truck driver. There's a room full of people here. What happened to you? Why can't you show us respect? And your list of rules and demands goes from 100 to 90 to 80 to 70 to 10 to 5 to 3. I had parents that said just 3 rules. Just please, can't you just do these 3 rules? It doesn't work. And those are the therapists and the helpers that are trying to help you. And if they don't know how to help you, all of a sudden you call them up and they say, well, if he doesn't do da-da-da-da, call 911. The house cannot be lived in that situation. And people think that I say, no, never throw a kid out of the house, continue to live like that. You can't live like that. And the reason is because it escalated to such a degree, to such a point that you just can't live like that. And no one should. And no one has to. The whole thing, the whole chap about TP is that out of 300 families, and I only take about 10% of the calls that I get that are the worst situations. I don't want to take people when they're in the beginning stages. 90% of the calls that I get, I don't take. I take only what I call stage 4. So these are people who have gone for months and sometimes for years for help, and it didn't work. And they went to people who didn't ask Das Torah before they told them what to do, and just gave them advice that would not work. And when it gets worse and worse and worse, they say, oh, you know what? You got to call 911. What I've learned how to do is how to de-escalate the situation so you get the rules that you wanted. So you get even more rules than you even dreamed of. And I have statistics for you. Not one parent following me, not one TP parent ever called Hatzalah or Shomrim or put their kid in a psych ward. Not one. And they're not living in misery. They're not living in that traumatic situation because the kid is not lahachas anymore. We haven't buried a kid, Baruch Hashem, b'li ayin hara. No suicides, no overdoses. And we're considered extreme. The people who buried their kids under guidance of therapists and experts, and sometimes rabbanim, they're not extreme. The kids who are roaming the streets today, who are not welcome home, who are going from house to house, hundreds of them, that's not extreme. That's the derech HaTorah. But twisted parenting is extreme, very extreme. I only deal with extreme situations. But once you have an extreme situation, your choice is you lose your kid or you have a happy home and a happy kid. I've never had any parent call Hatzalah, ever, or Shomrim, ever. Shomrim has a domestic violence unit just for Flatbush with 10 people in it. And I spoke to the one who runs it, who's a good friend of mine, and I asked him, have you ever gotten a call of domestic violence between parents and their kids from one of my parents? And he said, absolutely not. Look how much we're making people work. There are experts who are running around. Which boot camp? How do we collect money for rehab? I have a statistic for you. Almost every single kid who the parents came to me was on drugs is clean without rehab, without 12 steps. I've never sent a kid to boot camp. Now, of course, it's a dangerous and difficult process. We're not saying that it's easy. But look at the statistics. Why is Klal Yisrael so busy with domestic violence and all kinds of different organizations, even Home Sweet Home that I opened myself and ran myself? That's for kids who didn't have parents and family to know how to treat them. Our parents who do TP, their home is sweet. And they get not just the rules that they wanted, those last rules. They get a calm kid who's looking to please. And look how much mental illness we saved. We've never sent a kid to the psych ward. Almost every kid, when the parents come to me, by the time the parents come to me, almost every kid is diagnosed with not just ADD, ADHD, ODD, but borderline personality disorder, bipolar. Ask the parents. 2 years later of doing TP, gone. Gone. We just had in group, and it happens all the time. This girl was from a wealthy family, diagnosed by 4 top psychiatrists 2 years ago. She was suicidal. She tried to kill herself, Nebuch, and she was diagnosed with bipolar by 4 psychiatrists. It's 2 years later. No medication, no bipolar. It's gone. And the psychiatrists, and they're saying, well, we don't know how this happened. We don't understand that. But by me, it's consistent. No depression and anxiety, nothing major. No suicides, no suicidal behavior, no cutting after a couple of years of TP. And the other kids, we train them, we work with them. Like the Novominsker Rebbe said, they're steiging immensely. People are so worried about the other kids. When you have a traumatic family at home and they're losing a brother or a sister and the fighting and the yelling and the screaming and that soul and the shomrim, it's the most traumatic and dangerous for the other kids. Our TP kids, 1,500 of them, the parents are made. Nobody's losing one child to save another. It's not happening. Unless another kid in the family had their own trauma, their own problems, they're not following. They're getting stronger. And that's not just what I'm saying, that's the testimony of the parents. There's no way that I would cause one child to be saved and lose another 1 or 2. What benefit would that be? If you follow the Derech HaTorah, it's not that complicated. We wouldn't have kids going house to house looking for a place to sleep. We wouldn't have kids who are told you're not welcome to be home. You wouldn't have kids killing themselves. You wouldn't have kids suicidal, cutting themselves, drug addicts. It wouldn't exist. And every single thing that we do is done 100% al pi Torah. Not just by the Rabbanim that paskin for me, which I have many top gedolim that paskin for me every step of the way. But every parent signs a shtar that they won't implement any of my advice without first checking from their das Torah. And I don't accept anybody unless they give me a handwritten letter from their das Torah taking on the case to be my shutef. And that means that he is responsible to make sure that the family does everything al pi Torah, and only after getting his psak, it's his people, he's responsible. And if they don't listen to him, he will notify me and let me know to stop guiding them. Everything is done so carefully. When you follow the derech of the Baal Shem Tov, when you follow what the Baal Shem Tov said to do and what the Chazon Ish said to do, and today in our door, what Rav Gershon Edelstein Shlita, the Rashiva Panovich, what he says to do, and what so many top Gedolim say to do, Rabbi Yosef Rosenblum, Rav Moshe Wolfson, the Novominsker Rebbe, Rav Shmuel Kamenetsky, the list goes on and on. When you follow the Derech HaTorah, you don't end up in those situations where there's a war going on in your house, and if you're in that situation or you know someone that is, tell them. Doesn't need to be that way. You're following the wrong advice. De-escalate the situation, learn how to do it successfully. Save not just your kid, but all your other kids, and you lose nothing while you do it. Because what ends up happening is you end up revealing this sweet, nice kid that you once had. You know that this kid was sweet. You know that this kid was smart. You know something happened over here. This is not normal behavior, and you're not going to live in pain. You're not going to have that pain of that fighting, waiting up all night by the door to lock him out and to call the police and all of that. Not the Derech HaTorah, and it doesn't work. So learn how to de-escalate the situation. If I could be of service to you, if you're in a situation which is intolerable, where it's pikuach nefesh, I only deal with kids who are in a very, very bad situation. But you'll learn the method that I do in conjunction together with your das Torah, who will be your partner. Nothing you will ever do will go against your Rav or your das Torah. It's not necessary. They know and they understand the Mahalach, and the ones who work with me understand me. We have Rabbanim coming here all the time. You can tell your Rav to contact me. I'm happy to meet with him, to show him what we're doing. He can attend my groups and understand what is working so well to save our kids.